them goodbye because they're dying. You know, all your favorite Volvo cars, kiss them all goodbye. Kiss Volvo goodbye. They're dead, they're in the water, they're cooked, they're screwed. They're screwed. They are never going to come back from this. I have had to re-record this 3 times because every single time it's turned into a heated rant. So I'm trying to not do heated rant today. I'm actually re-recording. It doesn't matter. Point is, Polestar is now gone from the United States, and here's where the part where I need to talk about tricky United States stuff. So let's just get into it. Let's explain why Polestar is not going to sell any more cars in the United States. I know, big shocker. Alright, this is so complicated, I had to write it in my little notes app beforehand because it's so convoluted I could never remember what to say. Polestar is done selling new cars in the United States, starting with the 2027 model year. The reason is the United States national security rule called the Connected Vehicles Rule. It blocks cars that use certain connected software and hardware linked to China or Russia, because the government is worried about data collection and potential remote access. Polestar is majority yada yada yada. Polestar is owned by Geely, so is Volvo. Here's the important part. Their sister company Volvo, which is also owned by Geely, did get approval. Volvo worked with the government, made changes on how their data and software work, and got the green light. Polestar could have done the same thing. They chose not to. They wanted to leave. Why? Because it's kind of like a Suzuki type deal, you know, in 2011. They weren't doing well. They weren't selling that many cars. The economy's not great. They make most of the sales overseas anyway, so let's put the kibosh on that. Now I'm going to tell you why this is all Geely's fault, because it is. Because Geely is stupid. Geely did the dumbest thing you could ever possibly do on the planet if you cared about Volvo. They decoupled Volvo from Polestar. They chopped them. So now Polestar's its own thing, Volvo's its own thing. That'd be like separating TRD Pro from Toyota. So now TRD Pro sells the Camry, and Toyota sells a Camry Sport that's also a TRD Pro. What are we doing here? It's the dumbest thing they ever could have done. Let me tell you why, and then we'll give a big rant about why EVs aren't even that good. So stick around for that. But let's talk about why this was just a terrible, terrible choice. First of all, they're gonna kill Polestar and Volvo just like they killed Holden. Well, not they, but GM. But Geely's gonna do the same thing. Geely, the new GM. So, how did GM kill Holden? Well, essentially, they brought all the rebadges over, Holden Cruise, Holden Marina, everything. They brought all the small cars over, and Holden had, like, what, a 50%, that's way overstating it, probably like a 20% share in Australia. Well, now, not only did they have to compete with every other car out there, they had to compete with themselves 5 times over, because GM was just so excited they had to give every single model from every single continent everywhere with different names, and you have to buy them all. So, essentially, Holden was competing with itself times 5 with GM, ramping up, come on, you gotta make more cars, because GM's just like that way. They're like, a puppy with ADHD. They don't know what to do. Volvo Polestar is kind of doing the same thing. It's really dumb. They don't have that much market share. Combined, they have a 0.8 to 1.1% range of the total US EV market. And that was when it was just Polestar. Now they're sharing that market. So here's what Polestar decided to do. Instead of having Volvo make luxury cars and Polestar make EVs, they said, why doesn't Volvo make EVs and Polestar both make EVs? So now that little 1.1%, they can each have 0.5%. They can make the exact same EVs under different names for ever so slightly different prices and then compete with each other on a battle they'll never win. It's like, the only reason fighting is fun, like MMA, is because of the power level difference. Some people are more powerful than others. See what'll happen. Will the less powerful one come out over the more powerful one? It's what us humans do. We love conflict. This is like if two people were fighting each other that are the same person. What's the enjoyment of watching this? They're the same company. Volvo's EVs are the same as Polestar's EVs. They don't have anything over each other, so why make them fight? Why? Geely. Do you understand that Volvo is not a very significant brand? And splitting a very insignificant brand into 2 is about the dumbest thing you could do. I mean, it was just so stupid. So now they're sharing things with EVs. And now we need to talk about the whole EVs are bad thing. Because EVs are just bad. First of all, Polestar is making EVs wrong. EVs do better in small cars. Why? Small cars are front-wheel drive. Having all-wheel drive, with EVs, not so much because you can just have dual motors. You usually have to have an axle or just more stuff. So, batteries. Where can batteries go? On the Prius, it was a little chunky, little double-wide thing that sat in the trunk. Full EVs, they need wide ones. Wide, flat batteries. Where do those go? On the floor. The more stuff you have on the floor, like motors and components and stuff, it needs to go on the floor. So front-wheel drive cars, they can have little battery packs that are, really thick at the back, and then they kind of swoop down and then have a really thin part under the floorboards. Fantastic, amazing. That's how Tesla and a lot of other people do it. That's why the rear-wheel drive, they can have different battery compositions for different stuff. So front-wheel drive, small cars, ideal case for EVs. So Polestar, obviously decided to make gigantic all-wheel drive EVs. Why? EVs do not do well in big cars. You know the new, what is it, the Hyundai Stara or something, with the Javake music in the back? You know what I mean? The Galaxy or whatever. It's some stupid thing. It looks like a space van, Chevy Aero van, whatever the stupid thing's called. It's a family EV thing. That thing is only working because it's a big hatchback. If you look at the dimensions, it's essentially the same dimensions as Toyota Yaris, but times 50,000. So it is just an EV hatchback, except it's bigger. Why do we make cars like that? Look at the dimensions. Look at the shape of the thing. It's just a gigantic hatchback. So Volvo's now doing this little tap dancing thing where they're saying, oh, we're gonna... So, before, Volvo was kind of safe. Volvo's like, we don't need to make all EVs in the US market because we had Polestar. Then they decoupled and said, well, we still have Polestar, but we should make some EVs. Now they're going all EV, which is just really stupid. Why? Because no one wants the damn EVs. Their XC90 sold 40,000 units. Best year ever in 2025. The EX90, only 3,913. And someday, in the near... We do not live in a time of logic. I'm not getting political. This is a car YouTube channel. But I'm saying, if you were a logical, reasonable person who is not being influenced by anything on the outside, you would say, let's keep the one that sells 40,000 units and get rid of the one that sells 3,000 units. Same for the XC40 and XC40 Recharge Pure Electric. The XC40 sold between 17,000 and 26,000 per year in the United States. 2019 through 2021. The Pure Electric version stayed in like the single thousands. Guys, so now they're killing off the 60 series and all that. The 60 series actually sold better than the EX30 and some, which is ridiculous. The thing is, Volvo doesn't, they're just stupid. They don't know what they're doing. Essentially, they're saying, oh, well, look, our legacy models aren't selling well. Maybe it's because you haven't updated them in 10 years. How old is the 60 series? 2018? 8 years old, and you're upset that they're not selling? Screw you. And then they're competing their 8-year-old old cars to the new EVs. Well, the new EVs are selling better, so that must mean they're better. If they came out with a new generation of the S60, sales would shoot up again, and then they'd be fine. So I don't know what they're doing, but whatever it is, it's stupid. So they're replacing they're replacing their good, actually good cars with EVs that aren't good. So, and the least efficient type of EV as well. Another thing is this entire electric revolution. It's stupid. I mean, it really is. Bill Nye. I don't like Bill Nye. Not because politics or anything like that. It's just because I think he's a little bit arrogant. Like, Bill Nye saves the world. Bill, shut up and sit down. I don't like Bill Nye. I was watching this little, I don't know, for torture, for waterboarding, because it happened to come across my Netflix. Bill Nye saves the world, about saving the planet. Stuff like that. And he was talking about some nonsense shenanigans, and they had this EV guy, this nuclear guy, and they're like, is nuclear the solution? He said, well, yes, nuclear could be a solution. It's the safest, it's the cleanest. And then Bill Nye was like, well, no, we can't do it because it would never get approved fast enough. Okay, great, now on to wind and solar. Are you kidding me? We can deregulate. People are saying, oh, well, at least there's no nuclear in my country. Is this the 80s with 3 Mile Island? Are you kidding me? Oh, I have a stupid, dumb country. You know when you have like an apartment or something where you have covered parking and then uncovered parking? Why not cover them both with solar panels, make the money you'd make back from charging people for the covered parking, not have to charge them and get more people in your apartments? And why are we so stupid? Like, common sense is not so common. We are installing solar panels in metropolitan areas on the ground. Why? Most of EV usage is in the suburbs for the people who get, the green electric company to install them on the roofs. We could put them on top of skyscrapers. They have glass that can absorb electricity. If we wanted to solve things, we would do it. With cars, if we really wanted to solve the entire gas problem, we wouldn't be sending children into mines to mine for lithium. The only reason why we're making any EVs at all is because people are getting rich off this. People want to make EVs because they can sell them for more expensive than gas cars, and eventually they know that technology will get... You can buy a battery management system for Curtis, the same people who made a cheap DVD player. They know that this stuff is going to get real cheap real soon, and guess what's going to happen to the price? It's gonna keep going up, even though pretty soon they're gonna be cheaper to make than gas cars. It doesn't matter because EVs are new and expensive, and they will keep that reputation forever. They are just milking you in a new, different way for a new, stupid technology that they know is not the answer. If we wanted to find a solution, we are humans. We built the Taj Mahal. We built the U.S. government. We built so many things that have stayed so long and been so great and helped so many people, and yet for some reason we can't figure it out. It's that attitude that I can't stand. Oh, well, guys, they say, oh, well, the Earth is going to combust by, 2040 or something, so we need to do solar. And we'll never have enough nuclear power plants by then. You're never gonna have enough solar either, you moron. They're saying, oh, well, EVs, we need to save the planet with EVs. First of all, the EV pollutes just as much, if not more, than a regular gas car. So get off your high horse. All right, enough with you. Second of all, the EV, think of all the infrastructure, the construction, all that stuff to build this entire EV charging network. Think of how many power plants are, coal power plants are running more than usual on the grid to support all these EVs. Think about that. It's really stupid. This is what it is to me. So instead of having an engine underneath your hood which runs gasoline, they have an engine thousands of miles away burning coal that then the alternator sends the electricity over to your car and then you drive it. Except you have to build an even larger battery and motors instead of just an engine which runs. It's less efficient. What are we doing? And then the hydrogen. They'll say, well, it's the same stupid mentality. These people do not want to solve anything. They just want to bitch and whine. And I love bitching and whining. Except if it doesn't matter, then you can bitch and whine. This does matter, so we should not just bitch and whine. I love bitching and whining. And that's why I have a YouTube channel, bitching and whining about cars. This stuff is not stuff that we can bitch and whine about. I'm not one of those people that's like, oh, I'm going to decapitate myself to save the environment because of I need to be net neutral carbon. I'm not one of those people. What I'm saying is, if you really want to solve it, you can solve it. They say, oh, well, the hydrogen tanks are too large. We can't put them... Guys, if I showed some person that was riding a horse in the 1800s, Toyota Prius V from like 2012 that said that's too large and we can't make it. But we did, with time. If we wanted to improve hydrogen, make it more efficient, I get it's dangerous, gasoline is dangerous, coal is dangerous, nuclear is dangerous, and we found ways to make all of those safe, and yet you're telling me with hydrogen we just can't do it. We can't do it. Why? Because people that are promoting these EVs and suckering people into making them are making more money off of you when they know damn well it's not the answer to any of the issues that we're not even having right now. What are we doing? So, just to recap, Volvo's goodbye. All right, enough with the rant. Sorry, I was actually going to end it there, but now that I've calmed down, Volvo has to make all EVs now because Polestar's gone. It's stupid. EVs don't make any sense. That's it. Alright, it's sad. It's depressing. It's stupid. But it's where things are. So with that, don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe. And this is so annoying. Because I love Volvo. I drive a Volvo XC70. And it's so good. And Volvo's never going to make that again because they're too busy futzing around with EVs that are never going to be half as good. Or sell half as well. It's just stupid.